Clark Lea adds more beef along the defensive line. This time, 3-star defensive lineman Daryl Campbell commits. Let's get excited. Let's get it. Let's have a great week.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, what up? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. And on this episode, we're going to break down new 2026 3-star commit defensive lineman Daryl Campbell. He's an absolute unit on the interior defensive line. Campbell will be very disruptive when he arrives into Vanderbilt's defense, just what opposing offensive coordinators do not want to hear. So we're going to have a little film time here later on. And also, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Recruits keep saying it, and they keep saying the same thing. Clark Lea is building something special on West End. People can see it. They can feel it when they step on campus. It's amazing. A quote on that stood out to me as far as, you know, what's been happening with this program. I'm excited about it. So should you. And it brings a little bit more juice to the program. Then we're going to wrap by discussing the Vandy boys taking the series in Knoxville for the first time since 2021. This team played with a chip on their shoulder, and honestly, it's what they needed to do. And I love it. I love the chippiness. I love the combativeness. This series brought everything that you want to see in baseball. It brought energy, passion, both teams. It was great. I know people are tired of all those antics that Tennessee does, but it brings juice to the game, I'll be honest with you. But anyway, we'll talk more about that later. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to you everydayers. Shout out to you first-timers, part-timers, full-timers. However you got here, thank you. And we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Wow. 50%. That's half off of your first year managing your money. I'll talk about that too. So Daryl Campbell, 3-star commit. He, Clark Lea just continues to understand, not that he didn't before, but I think he's starting to execute this plan. He wants to build. He knows he has to build along the defensive line and along the offensive line, really, for that matter as well. The line, he knows he needs to build along the line of scrimmage. So he goes out and he's got a few offensive linemen, pretty talented offensive linemen on the hook. Bryce Gilmore, I think, is one in particular that I've got my eye on from Katy, Texas. But Daryl Campbell comes in from, and I'm gonna mispronounce the name of this high school. I just already know it. But Paytow High School. Paytow High School, I think. Yeah. Also in the Katy area. So we're and Katy, I think, is in the greater Houston area. So I think we're going to start to do quite well in the greater Houston area. So I am very excited about this. 6'2", 300 pounds. He was ranked by 247 as the nation's number 53 defensive lineman. And he is in the top 60 overall, coming in at 59 in the state of Texas when it comes to all positions. So getting some talent here, man. Getting some talent. He had offers from SMU, North Carolina, Texas Tech, and Houston. I think he had more, but those were the major contenders. I mean, if you Google search his name, he has all kind of pictures of him in North Carolina gear. He's posing with Bill Belichick. Like, this was a pretty serious commitment. This was a pretty serious target. And for him to jump on board with Vandy shows you a lot of things about this program, about the scheme defensively. Like, he knows, hey, these defensive linemen are active. They're going to take advantage of my skill set. And also program-wise, it's like, hey, I'm going to get in the SEC. This program is on the rise. They got some NIL stuff. Again, this whole Nashville thing can't hurt. So I'm really excited about this one because, again, it's going to add depth to the defensive line. Now I think you lose Aaron Bryant next year. I think he's a one and done coming in from Texas. I think you lose Otara as well next year. I think he graduates if I'm not mistaken. I haven't really memorized everybody's classifications yet, but I'm sure there'll be, he'll come in, backfill for somebody. And I think watching his film, if he can improve his burst a little bit, get a little bit of speed and a little bit of, start to increase his quickness a little bit, this guy's going to be extremely dangerous. So, very, very disruptive, man. I'm very much in favor of this commit. I love every bit of this. This is going to be a lot of fun watching him come in and just completely disrupt. So, you guys want to watch the film? Let's watch the film. Before I do that, though, Paytow is, before we watch the film, Paytow is the top level of Texas high school football. And he has power. He has first step ability to play in multiple fronts. He's kind of a versatile guy. He can be a 3 technique, 1 technique. He could play a nose and a little bit of a lighter set. He's not some giant nose, but he's got enough power to play on the nose, to play on the 1 technique, and he can really kind of push things from the interior pocket. Now, to contribute in the SEC again, he has a great first step, but he's going to have to continue to improve that. He uses his hands really well. He has a lot of power, but he's just got to continue to develop, and that comes with time. And he is, again, very capable interior defensive lineman, can play all over. Could even jump out there and play 4 technique if you needed to. But at 6'2", you probably want him just kind of in the middle, clogging things up and things like that. So, like I said, he's, it's going to be. I think Vanderbilt's defense is going to take advantage of what he brings to the table. His skill set, I think, is going to be completely showcased within this defense. So I'm really excited about it. You should be too. Let's get to the film, shall we? All right. So here's the first play right here. He is playing as a 1 technique, he's playing as a 1 technique. Just look at the hands, look at the bench press, just gets off, and it's just right there is disruptive. So patient. Uses his power there. Here's a good close-up shot. Got to even touch him. He's off the ball and there. He has really good quickness. He's just got to continue to improve that. Which, I mean, he's on the rise with that. I mean, just look at this. You just look at the technique. Look at the patience. Just look at the fundamentals there to make that play. Here's a play with him in a 1 technique. Just completely disrupts the pullers. That play had no chance. Right here he is as a 1 technique again. You got motion here, and here's the pass rush. He knows he can't get there. Look at the motor on the play. Now, normally I don't like seeing those type of plays, but it's good. Here's another play where he just bench presses the dude and just makes the play. This is top level Texas high school football. This is not like the Pee Wee versions of it. All right, this is this is something. This is something here. I mean, just look at the strength. Look at the power that he brings to the table. I mean, this guy's incredible. And so here's another clip. Here's him of a 3 technique. Boom, just powers through blockers. I mean, those guys just bounce off of him, right? It's insane. And here's another one. Boom, great bench press, great technique. Gets off the block, makes the tackle. I mean, you have no shot with this guy. I mean. They're doubling him here. He's just bullying those guys, man. He's just creating a pile there, just making it tough. The other guys make the tackle there, but it's because of him. It's because he created that traffic jam there. Just the sheer power, right? The sheer freaking power, the disruptiveness, the wherewithal. I mean, he plays with good instincts. Look at this play. Good Lord, I wish I could rewind that. He follows the freaking puller and just mauls it, right? Here's an end zone copy right here. I mean, this is insane, man. Just, I mean, again, you put this guy in the weight room with a little bit of speed work. This guy's going to be freaking dangerous, man. There's the same play from the sideline copy. I think we're going to get an end zone copy and a sideline copy here, but here he is as a 3 technique to get into some sort of double eagle set. boom, just gets off the blocker, reads it well. I mean, just the technique of bench press, read, creates a clear shot of the backfield for himself. I mean, gets a clear view. Here's another play right here. Gets double teamed, almost triple teamed almost, and fights off of it, makes the play. I mean, the teams are doubling and tripling this guy, and it's to no avail. There he is right there, disrupting the jet sweep. I wish he had if he had a little bit more burst on that play, I think he tackles the ball carrier with the blocker. Here's a double team, just splits that right in two, makes the play. He's there, man. You just so disruptive, man. You can't double this guy. I mean, this guy's got great technique. And he masks a lot of his, there's some quickness. You can tell there's a little bit of like quickness and speed and burst deficiencies a little bit there, but he plays with such great technique. He doesn't really need it. I mean, he has such good hands. He masks a lot of the speed stuff, and you can see the potential here of the quickness that he could carry, the speed and burst that he could carry. I think like I said, you get him in Coach Steiner's program. I think he's a hit almost instantly. I'm very, very curious to see how his senior film looks. I mean, I'm waiting with great anticipation to see see how his senior year goes here at Paytow High School. So this is incredible, man. Like you get this, boom, look at this bird, look at that bench press, look at that push pull, just didn't get to the quarterback, but just great technique. I mean, you look at a lot of high school defensive linemen, and rarely do you see this good a technique, right? Because most of these big level guys are so much bigger and faster that they don't, like, some of them, they don't really use technique. They just kind of use their athletic abilities. And this guy has, his hands are as good as I've seen. Like that's the best quality of his game. His punch, his reaction time, just getting these off. Just look at how he destroys that double team. He just gets those guys. He understands leverage. He just gets those guys on skates and just pushes them back. I mean, right here too, boom, push pull, just such quick hands. If he was just a hair faster, he probably gets there on that quarterback. But he flushed him, forced him to make a bad throw. Here he is as a 3 technique. I really love him as a 1 technique. Ideally, I think his abilities as a 1 technique inside the with the center and the guards making the double teams, things like that. I think I think that's where his game suits him. So I'm very much impressed with what this guy has. So, you see the power on display and you see the fundamentals on display. I mean, this guy's well coached. This defensive scheme is, well suited for what he does. And that's the end of the highlight reel. But overall, this guy's going to be an impact player, right? He comes in and, you could watch a lot of defensive linemen. He is among the tops that I've seen as far as being able to punch, use their hands, extend, and have some good moves off of that. A couple of his push pulls, a couple of his throws are really, really good, really, really polished. And that will go a long way when he steps foot on campus. Like, a lot of guys are just really athletic, insanely strong, or a combination of both. And they've got to work technique, and they've got to understand some of the nuances of the position. I think for him, it's just a little bit of skill refinement, especially the speed and the quickness. I think if you refine that a little bit, there's some plays that he could have made had he been a hair faster. But this is just me nitpicking. His hands are incredible. His power is insane. Just those few clips where he just took those double teams and just literally carried them to the ball carrier. Like, those type of plays are what get you excited about a guy like this. This guy is a perfect bona fide 1 technique if they go even front nose guard. If they go odd front, I could see him playing at about 310, 315, some good weight. And man, this guy's going to feast, man. And this guy's going to be, incredible in Steve Gregory's defense or Clark Lea's defense or whoever's calling the plays this time next year. And, it's going to be insane. So welcome to West End, Daryl Campbell. He commits. And honestly, he saw the vision. And there was something that he said that really stuck out to me as like, there's something like a lot of people are saying this. There's something to it. There's, I think something special is happening on West End. I really do. And we'll talk about that next. Hey, but first, man, have you ever checked your bank account and you wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, man, it is so easy to lose track. And that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Man, this is, I know for me, I would love to keep track of dining out, getting takeout, really. It's not even dining out. It's just getting takeout for me. And, to me, Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. And I love it, man. You can track all your accounts, track your investments, your spending all in one place. So you stop managing your money and you start building wealth. And that's what everybody wants. We're not talking about rich. We're talking about wealth, man. And, some surprising insights that I've seen, that I've noticed since I've started using Monarch, is I realized, you just figure out how much you're spending on takeout, or how much you're spending on going to the movies, or just how many freaking subscriptions you have to other streaming services, things like that. But you take all of that data, now you can budget smarter and save more. And it's all there. So instead of like going app to app to app, you can use Monarch and check all of your finances, and you can track your spending, and you can track your income and your investments, and you can plan long-term. Right. And there's easy collaboration. So making money should be easy, but managing it with your partner is smoother than ever. And you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. That's what 98.2% of the fights are in marriages. It's about finances and staying on the same page budget wise. Well, this will help you ease a lot of that stress and be able to have great conversations. So we're saving money, and we're saving marriages. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half. Yeah, you heard me right. Half off your first year. Hey, welcome back. Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Shout out to you everydayers. Thank you for being here. If it's your first time, welcome. Hope you come back. If it's your second time, if you're an opposing fan just cruising on by, poking your head in the window going, oh, hey, what's going on here? Like a bar on Broadway, you hear that music and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah. If you're walking by on the Locked On highway and you stop at my exit and you're like, hey, what's going on here? Hopefully you're here to stay. But nonetheless, I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me. However you join me, however you partake, I appreciate you. So if you need a second listen, Locked On SEC is the place to go. But here, this quote really stuck out to me. Okay, we're talking about Daryl Campbell. He committed, big time three-star defensive lineman, very powerful, great use of his hands. And I think he'll only get better athletically with time. And so I'm not necessarily worried about that. But if I had to nitpick something, that would probably be it. But he's like the most powerful thing that he did was he made this quote that, like, when I was reading, I was like, oh gosh, this really stands out. Here's the quote. All right. And that's him right there. Look at those arms, dude. That's insane. Right. Look at just that guy's a unit. But anyway, here's what he said. He said, Coach Clark Lea is building something great over there, and I want everyone to notice it. I believe and trust in this coaching staff's future, and they've already sold me on being an amazing fit in their defense. So I'll leave this quote up here for a second, but this really jumped out at me because a lot of people are like, yeah, it's a fluke. He won't do it again. Even FanDuel's like, yeah, they won't do it again. Right. 4.5 wins. They can't build along the line of scrimmage. They'll never get enough depth they'll never have enough playmakers. They'll, whatever. Right. Well, what does he do? He goes out and he portals a whole bunch of depth up front. what does he do in recruiting? He gets offensive, defensive linemen. He gets great wide receiver. Like, he gets all these playmakers. He fills in the gaps, right? He gets Caden Smith last week, 3-star wide receiver. He gets just all kind of stuff, man. I mean, this guy's special. And this quote, like I said, it stands out to me mostly because it's what everyone doesn't expect, right? And it's, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like people are not used to, I think people aren't used to seeing Vanderbilt get this level of recruit or be at this level, be on the verge of being a competitive program. But like, you can tell there's a vibe going around, and it's hard to really kind of pinpoint, because like, this is like kind of new territory. Even in the James Franklin era, like, people were excited about the program, but like, you weren't real sure, because like James Franklin, we were just borrowing him, right? You knew as soon as Vandy got good, he was going to get a bigger job and go, and he did, and happy for him. He's at Penn State doing his thing. A lot of people feel good about Drew Aller, and a lot of people feel good about what they're doing up in Nittany Lionville up there, but State College. But we're not talking about that. But there was that vibe there with James Franklin, but you knew it was going to end soon, because again, he was going to get a job and roll. Clark Lea's a Vandy guy. Like, he is a Vandy guy through and through. Unless he just gets some stupid, absurd offer, just some like monopoly money type offer, like, hey, we'll offer you $15 million to come coach the Oregon Ducks. And unless he just gets some ridiculous offer, he ain't going anywhere, right? And I know some fans hear that and go, oh, Lord, he's not going anywhere. Oh, no, we're doomed, right? But like, you see this quote right here, and you're like, are we really doomed? Like, you see the light bulb coming on. That's the thing for me, is you see the light bulb coming on. You see him starting to understand it takes time to be a great head coach, right? Nobody jumps out. People rarely jump out of the gates, especially in year one. But like, people are going to say, well, Kirby Smart went to the national championship in year two, but he took over at Georgia, who had already had an established, really strong program with Mark Richt. The transition year was what it was, and then he popped off, right? He's a great coach coming into a great program. Of course, great things are going to happen. He eventually breaks through, wins, 2 in a row, actually. But you look at like a program where Vanderbilt was, and you get a guy, it's his first gig, and naturally he just doesn't know what to do, right? Nobody does when they first jump into that role. Like, nobody knows what to, like, Nick Saban was probably, I don't know how he did at Toledo, but he was probably a little bit of a mess there his first year at Toledo. He was probably a little bit of a mess even his first year at Michigan State after he left the Cleveland Browns. So, everyone struggles in their first year. So you take that year, and then you have improvement in year two. Then you take I think everybody's concerned because he took a step back, but like, he was still kind of learning, and there's some valuable lessons there. And I think he's finally got them. I think when he overhauled things, like, he's like, okay, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to bring guys in, now that we can expand our staff. So I'm going to bring guys in that are going to help me build this thing. And he brought in Jerry Kill, which is probably the best hire he's ever made. I could assure you that's probably the best hire he's ever made, because Jerry Kill is an absolute badass when it comes to that. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there, man. This, he's building something special over there. People are the point of all this, the long-winded answer, is that people are noticing, and recruits are noticing, and the quality of recruits that Vanderbilt is getting is improving. Because like, Vanderbilt doesn't get that guy 2 years ago. They probably don't even get him last year, coming into last season. Something special is happening. They're hitting all the right buttons for now. Just got to prove it come season time. But I'm very excited about that. And speaking of excited, you get a very contentious series against Tennessee in baseball, and makes for great entertainment. Well, Vandy takes a series for the first time since 2021. I'm going to tell you how they did it. They played with a chip on their shoulder. That's got to happen from here on out. We'll talk about it next. All right, wrapping up the show here, Locked On Vandy, on the Locked On Vandy podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are here. We hope you're going to have a great week. We're going to try to set you up for that. I'll tell you who else is trying to set you up to have a good week are the Vandy boys, right? They take the series in Knoxville with a 7-5 clinching win. First time since 2021 that they've taken the series in Knoxville. You lose Friday night. And, of course, it's like, all right, here we go again. We're losing. Oh, boy. They're going to get the energy. They're going to get the juice. Here we go. But, nonetheless, there was a weather delay. There's a little bit of chippiness. I mean, I'm telling you, man, like, my biggest takeaway is this. As great as it is to take this series, right, as awesome as that is, Mike Mancini hitting the game, what ended up being the game winner, the go ahead home run. What made all of this awesome? McIlvain comes in the 11th and slams the door shut. Right. What makes all of this great, though, is the fact that you go in and you put that chip on your shoulder. You place that chip on your shoulder Saturday. You win 10-6. You come in Sunday. You battle back and forth. Colin Barzey hits 2 bombs. You know, you have a back and forth with them. You know, the dude hits I can't remember who it was. Don't care. The dude hits the home run, circles the bases. I mean, he is yelling at everybody that can hear him. He's yelling in everybody's face that he passes by. I mean, he's ready to start. I mean, Vanderbilt's ready to charge on him, right? The umpire had to hold the catcher back, like that kind of thing, that kind of pot stirring. That ignited something in Vanderbilt. Oklahoma did the same thing, right? I think in the Ole Miss series, they were just so pissed that they just unleashed their frustration. But like Oklahoma did something similar in their series. Now, even though Oklahoma won the series, I think it showed Vanderbilt like, hey, we play better when we're pissed off, right? When we're pissed at you. They just focus in. They just grind, dude. They just grit, bear down, and here we freaking go, right? And I love it, man. I love the edge that this team played with. I love the fact that it just seemed like every big play, somebody was yelling at somebody. McIlvain was fired up. I mean, he was yelling towards our dugout, but you could tell that wasn't really meant for them. And it's just great. Like I know people are tired of the antics that happen with Tennessee, and people are like, oh, it's classless and things like that. And it may be, but I think there should be more. Like baseball needs its villains, right? I was thinking about this in the car earlier today. Baseball needs villains, and Tennessee is playing that part really well. They're playing the part of villain extremely well. But baseball needs that. Like I think they're, you don't love the fact that has to happen. You wish it would just be naturally competitive and it'd be fine. But like, honestly, it makes for a great storyline. And, because it was getting a little contentious, but like there was never any like brawls. It's a true rivalry, right? And you need those. Right? You need those in sports. Like you had those in professional sports in the 90s. You have them in college football. You have them in the NFL. They just play harder in these type of games. And you need those rivalries. And I am, and Vandy, I think this team is also, they need that. They need that fuel. And I think last year's team would not have been able to handle this. I think last year's team would have probably folded because I think they clinch up and they're just like, They don't know what to do. They've tried too hard. They press. They're just like, oh, we got to win. We got to win. Oh, gosh, we got to win. And this year's team is like, they're not saying that at all. They're saying, I want to hit this baseball 400 miles, and I want to beat your blankety blank, right? They're just, it's motivating to them. Like, this is kind of some like, I don't know. I think I might just start talking trash about Vanderbilt baseball. I want to piss them off because I want there to be some fuel in that fire. I want them to play with a chip on their shoulder. Secretly, I don't think they suck at all. They're a national seed, but I think, I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, obviously, but if they need me to play that role, I will. I will gladly, if me saying stuff gets them to win in Omaha, hey, I'm all for it. But in all seriousness, though, like that chip on their shoulder, they need that in postseason play. They absolutely need that edge. They need to play with that. They need to I don't care if they're like going against Kentucky. Well, Kentucky does have a way of pissing people off. They've pissed Ole Miss off. They've pissed Texas A&M off. Those are only 2 times I've seen them. But like you get in let's say you get in like a regional against Xavier. Like, you just need to invent something in your head. You need to play some Michael Jordan mind tricks. I don't know if any of you out there have seen The Last Dance, but like he concocts these things in his head to give himself an edge. And some of them are very true. Some of them have a tiny shred of truth that he embellishes, and some of them are completely made up. Whatever the case may be, like, if they can just click into that, they'll win the world. Like, if they play like they'll win the World Series, man. Like this, like that's how they need to play. And I didn't even get into like the actual series itself and like how the games took place. I just get in there about, I think this was all emotions. I think this is all about unlocking Vanderbilt and how they need to play and the style in which they need to play. They just need to embrace the fact that they need to be pissed off when they play. That's how they thrive in that scenario. Speaking of thriving, I hope you guys thrive the rest of this week. I hope you guys like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great, wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Anchor down. Peace.